killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger. Now he's dead. Oh, Mama. Life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away. Following Freddie Mercury's death in 1991, a theory began to be shared by music journalists and hardcore Queen fans. The theory holds that Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen's now legendary 1975 song written and sung by Mercury, was actually the singer's coming out confession, a musical moment where Mercury dropped his lifelong pretense of being heterosexual and admitted to himself that he was gay. As evidenced in the song's opening lyric, Bohemian Rhapsody portrays Mercury figuratively murdering his old self so he can begin life anew as a homosexual man. He and his bandmates were coming off the most successful record of their ascending career. Life had just begun, as Freddie sings. Yet the next line, "But now I've gone and thrown it all away," suggests that he believed his homosexuality would alienate fans to the point that it would literally destroy his career. I think this theory about Bohemian Rhapsody is spot on, and that the song represents the dawn of Freddie Mercury's sexual liberation. But what if I told you that Mercury's 1975 magnum opus wasn't the first time he sang in veiled terms about his sexuality? You see, I believe there's another song in the Queen canon that predates Bohemian Rhapsody's themes of shame, dread, and dark introspection. The name of the song is Liar, and in this video, we're going to break down this Bohemian Rhapsody antecedent line by line to illustrate Freddie's pre-fame frustration with his sexuality and with God. Hi, I'm Bruce, and as you watch this video, please remember that the views expressed here are speculation. However, I will use information collected from books, interviews, and other media to support my theories. In this fourth long-form edition of Digital Graffiti, Liar, the Secret Torment of Freddie Mercury. You've probably heard the music playing now dozens of times, whether in TV ads, movies, or perhaps even as the entry fanfare for your favorite band at a concert. It's from a legendary symphonic poem entitled Thus Spoke Zarathustra by the late classical composer Richard Strauss. The song's peculiar title is actually a reference to Zarathustra, the prophet and central figure of the ancient Iranian religion known as Zoroastrianism, based on orthodoxies such as free will, judgment after death, and the polar struggle between good and evil. Zoroastrianism predates both Christianity and Judaism and is believed to have greatly influenced both of those rival religions. Freddie Mercury was raised in the Zoroastrian faith, and I believe his saga begins with the religion. Now, Freddie rarely, if ever, outwardly addressed issues of God and theology, but I believe the lyrical evidence I present in this video will reveal that religion and its warnings about sin played a big role in Freddie's life. He is born Farouk Bulzara in 1946 in the East African country Zanzibar. By all accounts, Freddie's family is not overbearingly religious, yet they still pass down the tenets of the Zoroastrian faith. In a 2018 interview with the London Telegraph, Freddie's mother, Jer, offers us some insight into how her son's rock star flamboyance clashed with her more conservative views. I often told him I didn't like his clothes and dresses, but he would explain that it was something you have to do when you're in the pop world. But while Freddie's parents weren't overly strident in their Zoroastrianism, I think the evidence shows that Freddie absorbed the doctrines of his family's religion, most notably the lessons of good and evil, and the concept of an all-seeing God who judges sin. In Zoroastrian mythology, there is a term for sin, a word for all that is corrupt, false, and wicked in the world. And that word is Druj. In English, Druj translates to the lie, according to Encyclopedia Britannica. Those who opt for the lie, or Druj, are condemned by their own conscience, as well as by the judgment of the wise Lord, and must expect to continue in the most miserable form of existence. In other words, Druj is immorality, and he whosoever practices Druj, or the lie, will be haunted by their own guilty conscience as well as by God. Zoroastrian law clearly and unambiguously ranks homosexuality as Druj. The religion's condemnation of homosexuality is laid out in a text called the Avesta, which contains the following entry. The man that lies with mankind as man lies with womankind is a man that is a demon. This man is a worshipper of demons, a male paramour of demons. As that entry reveals, Zoroastrianism frowns on homosexuality. The religion centers around the credo of quote-unquote good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. By Zoroastrian standards, the boy who would become Freddie Mercury wasn't thinking good thoughts. That's why, in the days prior to co-founding Queen, Freddie faked heterosexuality, and herein lies the possible reason that he composed Liar. As music journalist Mark Blake writes in his book, Freddie Mercury, A Kind of Magic. Part of the reason nobody gave any thought to Freddie's sexuality was that he'd had several girlfriends since art school. Despite having dated girls in his early adulthood, as a youth, Freddie attended boys' boarding school in India and England, where, we can conjecture, he was forced to confront his same-sex passions. We can only imagine the shame he likely experienced as he lusted after some of his male classmates. So Freddie grows up, meets guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor, and eventually forms the band we know today as Queen. The band captures a recording contract and releases their self-titled debut album in 1973, and it's on this recording that Freddie begins to reveal himself. Queen's first album is rarely discussed nowadays, but I think it's a crucial work for anyone seeking to really understand Freddie. That's because the album is jam-packed with songs that reveal both Freddie's latent religiosity as well as his then-suppressed homosexuality. And the track from Queen's debut that probably reveals the most about Freddie is the epic composition Liar. With its original album version clocking in at over 6 minutes, Liar finds Freddie pleading for divine redemption from his forbidden sexual fantasies, as evidenced by the song's 2 opening verses. I have sinned, dear Father. Father, I have sinned. Try and help me, Father. Won't you let me in? Now, the second verse. Sire, I have stolen many times, raised my voice in anger, when I know I never should. So here, Freddie confesses to unspecified sins, but with the benefit of hindsight, we can safely hypothesize that he's talking about his homosexuality, which remained a secret in the early 70s when he wrote and recorded Liar. Owing to his religion, the singer could not just come out and confess that he fantasized about men, so with Liar, he employed words like sinned and stolen in reference to his suppressed sexuality. And indeed, in the view of Zarathustra, he had sinned and stolen, stealing lustful glances at men in violation of Zoroastrian law. That could explain why Freddie concludes the verse by confessing that he has raised his voice in anger against God for instilling him with homoerotic desire. So next, we arrive at yet another confession song segment in which Freddie employs even more metaphorical terms to express his taboo fantasies. I have sailed the seas from Mars to Mercury. I have drunk the wine time after time. Notice how Freddie expresses his sexual reveries in metaphoric terms of experiences. At this point in his life, Freddie had yet to be with a man, which left him to imagine what the experience would be like. And judging from Liar, the singer envisioned gay romance as being the heady equivalent of drunkenness and sailing the seas, the antic, seafaring, rule-bending kind of life romanticized in pirate stories. Indeed, it's interesting that Freddie would express his sexual fantasies in such a way. There's a homosexual subtext to the pirate life. Men living in close quarters on the seas, hedonist outlaws brashly flouting the law, just as homosexuals had flouted anti-homosexual laws in the UK since the Middle Ages. So thus far on Liar, Freddie has confessed to being a sinner, but as the track approaches its midpoint, the singer begs for absolution. He makes a plea for transformation, a sort of divine attitude adjustment. Father, please forgive me. You know you'll never leave me. Please, will you direct me in the right way? I think these lines amount to nothing less than a cry for help. Freddie begging forgiveness for a lifetime of forbidden thoughts. Judging from this verse, the Zoroastrian boy from Zanzibar is positively tormented by gay fantasies, and he wants to get straight with God. These lyrical couplets represent Freddie saying, "Please, Zarathustra, if homosexuality is a sin, then transform me into a straight man who lives only to please you in heaven." Or, as the singer puts it in the song, "Please, will you direct me in the right way?" Okay, so Freddie has prostrated himself before his God, begging forgiveness for his sinful thoughts. But unfortunately, the singer's plea falls on deaf ears as his heavenly Father responds with a one-word judgment, and that word is liar. This accusatory word is repeated no less than 24 times in the song, revealing the shame, the guilt, the unbearable fear of divine judgment Freddie likely felt about his sexuality. In God's eyes, Freddie is practicing Druge, the lie. Thus Zarathustra is judging the singer a liar, an irredeemable sinner, unworthy of heavenly mercy. As the track approaches its midpoint, Freddie throws us a curveball by introducing some new members to the cast of his grandiose mini-opera. It's a mysterious group Freddie only identifies as you and they. It's my belief that this cryptic mob is none other than the libidinous trolls chiseling away inside Freddie's head. Tremendously erratic, these contradictory demons have filled the singer with both lust and soul-stifling guilt. One minute they're goading Freddie to admire a man on the street. The next minute, they're piously berating the singer for stealing that glance. This psychological push and pull has driven Freddie to the brink, as evidenced by Liar's single pre-chorus line. "Why don't you leave me alone?" As Liar progresses, Freddie gives us a sample of the chatter going on in his head. Towards the song's outro, a sort of lunatic madness takes over. This is where Liar's masculine erectile guitar riffs give way to a sort of hectoring nursery rhyme. In this section, Freddie sets a scene where the trolls tease him mercilessly. During this part of Liar, we can all but see the trolls encircling Freddie in a sort of ring around the rosy as they taunt him. The trolls. "Liar, liar.
You know you want it.
Freddie, they never ever let you win." The trolls.
Everything you do is sin. Liar. Nobody believes you. Be ashamed of yourself.
Freddie, they bring you down before you begin. They bring you down before you begin. This is a clue that Freddie had yet to fulfill his gay fantasies when he recorded Liar, yet the trolls in his head had already condemned him for simply harboring thoughts of being with men. It's here that we see a sort of continuum, a connection between Liar and Bohemian Rhapsody. In Bohemian Rhapsody's operatic section, Queen's makeshift choir sings, "We will not let you go." I speculate that the "we" that won't let Freddie go are the very same trolls he sings about in Liar. Both songs suggest that Freddie worried that he would never escape the taunts of the badgering goblins in his mind. And lest Freddie's desperate pleas go unnoticed, he concludes Liar with this final emphasizing line. "So now you know. You could be dead before they let you." Here is Freddie saying the trolls would rather see him 6 feet under than allow him his dreams of being with men, which really underscores the seething bitterness he was obviously feeling. Colossal in its ambition and musical scope, Liar is Bohemian Rhapsody 1.0. Indeed, just as Bohemian Rhapsody mutates from pop ballad to opera, then Wagnerian heavy metal, Liar commences with a hard rock intro that melds into a beseeching prayer before giving way to divine choruses and slave choirs. It's the first of many Queen tracks where Freddie reveals his ravenous cravings for revelry, adventure, and experience, the decadence that would all but swallow him whole later in his career. In the previous chapter, it was noted that Liar and Bohemian Rhapsody shared references to a mysterious group Freddie Mercury only refers to as you and they. Well, there's another word featured in both Bohemian Rhapsody and Liar that I believe speaks volumes about Freddie. It's a word that for many of us conjures images of both warmth and intimidation, and that word is mama. It's a fact that several Queen songs feature the word mama or mother, which reveal the strong influence GRFITI had over her son Freddie. And while Freddie dearly loved his mother, the evidence suggests he had a politely adversarial relationship with her. As Queen guitarist Brian May wrote, Freddie was very close to his mom and, I think, took a mischievous pleasure trying to shock her. Queen drummer Roger Taylor revealed much when he said, the Zoroastrian culture was very different, and Freddie felt that he wasn't part of that culture. His mother was always wonderful to him, but he knew there was an immense gap in lifestyles. The lifestyle gap Taylor spoke of is evident on Liar, in which the word mama appears during the song's epic midsection. Here, Freddie promises his mother that he will be on his best behavior, presumably by not indulging his sexual cravings. Mama, I'm gonna be your slave. Mama, I'm gonna try behave. I'm gonna serve you till your dying day. I'm gonna kneel down by your side and pray. On Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie imagines the sorrow and disappointment his mother would feel if he revealed his sexuality. Mama, didn't mean to make you cry. Moreover, Bohemian Rhapsody's operatic section finds Freddie singing, "Oh Mamma Mia, let me go," as if he's pleading for his mother to loosen her God-fearing grip on his mind. I think these repeated examples of the word mama revealed just how eager Freddie was to please his mother. But Liar and Bohemian Rhapsody aren't the only tracks where Freddie brings up his mother. On yet another track from Queen's debut album entitled My Fairy King, Freddie runs to his mother for shelter from the trolls that are bedeviling him with guilt. Mother Mercury, look what they've done to me. I cannot run. I cannot hide. This is Freddie yet again vainly attempting to escape those nagging voices in his head. It's a line that echoes Bohemian Rhapsody's opening line, no escape from reality. There's even more. On another Queen track entitled Great King Rat, Freddie seems to mock his mother. He casts himself as Satan, warning listeners not to heed motherly advice about the deadly wages of sin. Now listen, all you people. Put out the good and keep the bad. Don't listen to what Mama says. Not a word Mama says. Great King Rat, My Fairy King, Bohemian Rhapsody, Liar. 4 tracks showcasing the word mama or some variant thereof. 4 tracks that reveal the potent spell GRFITI cast over her son. Now, there's one more mother song Freddie composed that I would be remiss not to mention. The tune is called Mother Love, and the track is significant because it brings Freddie's entire life and career full circle. You see, Mother Love is the very last song Freddie wrote and recorded, and both its lyrics and its accompanying music video are very illuminating. At the time he recorded the tune, Freddie's body had been ravaged by AIDS, and judging from the track's lyrics, the singer's final days were spent reminiscing and reassessing. I don't want to sleep with you. I don't need the passion, too. I don't want the stormy affair to make me feel my life is heading somewhere. All I want is the comfort and care. Just to know that my woman gives me sweet mother love. I don't want a stormy affair to make me feel my life is heading somewhere. Here we have Freddie, knowing his days are numbered, all but denouncing the promiscuous, lip-smacking lifestyle he had embraced during Queen's heyday. He then follows by saying that all he wants is the comfort and care of my woman, which could very likely mean that Freddie imagined he was figuratively returning to his mother and her religious lessons. This theory is supported later in the song. My body's aching, but I can't sleep. My dreams are all the company I keep. Got such a feeling as the sun goes down. I'm coming home to my sweet mother love. Got such a feeling as the sun goes down. This is Freddie using twilight as a metaphor for dying. The verse, I'm coming home to my sweet mother love, is further evidence that Freddie, in the waning days of his life, had embraced his mother's religious teachings. Now, on to the song's very last verse, which is drenched in a wash of reverb as if to convey a sense of nostalgia and sober reflection. God works in mysterious ways. I think I'm going back to the things I learned so well in my youth. And there it is. That to me sounds like Freddie contemplating the religious lessons his mother imparted to him as a child. The lessons he rails against so passionately on Liar. This is Freddie returning to Zarathustra and his mother, shamefully rethinking their warnings about the terrible cost of Druge. It's the same dynamic we see in the biblical parable of the prodigal son, where a young man returns to his father in shame after squandering his inheritance. Mother Love's closing verse suggests that Freddie, in the waning months of his life, may have regretted trading his youthful caution for the carnal, no-holds-barred life of a rock star. Now, where the recording of Mother Love is all about dying and regret, the song's hallucinogenic sci-fi music video tells a different story altogether. Let's briefly review it. An astronaut and his crew is bound for Earth. During their journey, the astronaut encounters the apparition of a woman on his ship. They gaze at one another in familiarity. As the astronaut and the woman begin to make love in a shroud of fog, we see scenes of a mother and son sharing tender moments on a beach. Suddenly, the video cuts to the astronaut awakening from unconsciousness, suggesting that the lovemaking in the mother and child scenes were all but a dream. But then, the mysterious woman reappears and morphs into a grotesque monster. The video concludes with a newborn baby crying in an incubator. So now, let's pause to note the differences between Mother Love, the recording, and Mother Love, the music video. Where the recording is performed from a deathbed perspective, I conjecture that the song's music video is told from a pre-birth point of view. The space traveler in the video may represent Freddie's spirit en route to its final destination, planet Earth. During its journey, Freddie's spirit glimpses what will be the singer's most faithful companions, his devout, moralizing mother, and the pleasure-seeking demon that will put the singer at odds with his mom, her religion, and her faith. The video concludes with Freddie finally taking on human form and being born. These themes of death, religion, sin, and propriety are the stuff of epic classical art, and I think Mother Love, along with Liar, Bohemian Rhapsody, and other Queen tunes, beg us to reassess our image of Freddie Mercury. I would argue that the perception most people have of Freddie is that of a supremely confident man, a guy so self-assured he reportedly once said, "I won't be a rock star, I'll be a legend." But Liar and a surprising number of other Queen songs paint a portrait of an insecure and spiritually torn man. One half God-fearing and guilt-ridden, the other half cynical and rebellious. It's a Freddie who would have barely recognized the flamboyantly gay man he eventually became. But while his freewheeling lifestyle would eventually cost him everything, there's no denying that Freddie's demons made for some great music, and herein lies the lesson for all creative people. The best way to be true to your art is to be true to yourself.
Mama.